Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Bricks and Toys. In today's episode, K-2SO. That's what we're working with. But before we get into that, this is my first video to acknowledge we hit our subscriber milestone of 2,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for getting us there, and thank you so much for the support of my oddball video of the Death Star, and there will be a little bit of an update hidden in our 2,000 subscriber video, which I have planned on coming out tomorrow on an uneven day to coincide with all of the filming. So there will be 3 videos in a row this week, starting off with K-2SO. Then I'll have a video tomorrow about the 2K subscriber build-off series, which I call the Extravaganza Bonanza. You really want to check it out. And then we'll be building our Hibiscus after that. Now, I wanted to start this build-off series by setting the record straight about a comment when I built the Rebel U-Wing from the TV show Andor, and I guess Rogue One the movie. I heard in the movie, and I heard in the TV show, they called it a K2 unit. And it's K-2SO, right? Okay. Well, the weird thing is, I don't know why, when I filmed the U-Wing video, I said K-250. And somebody let me have it in the comments. Pretty much just told me off like, this guy really knows Star Wars, doesn't he? Ha ha. And it was a gut punch. It was a really bad gut punch. If you guys have been subscribed for the last 2.5 years to my channel, for one, thank you. It's been an up and down roller coaster, but thanks for sticking it out. But if you are a newer subscriber, you may not know that I used to wear glasses. I don't have those now. I have contacts. And with contacts, some days you have a good day, and some days you have a bad day. And some days that are bad days, they kind of distort your field of vision and your field of thought for a very, very long time. Anybody ever heard of Sabrina Carpenter? I thought for the longest time that her song was called Bad Kim. I'm like, okay, I don't know why she's making a song about bad chemistry, but okay, whatever. Because I could not see the name. I saw the name of the song on the radio on a bad contact day, and I thought the E was an A. It happens. So I'm going around telling everybody, yeah, that Bad Kim song isn't too bad, blah, blah, blah. And, I'm more of a metalhead, but, it's not too bad. She's a good writer, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? And then I go back and I'm like, oh, it's bad. I did a similar thing going to my doctor's appointment a few weeks ago. I was looking for a street called Woodmore Avenue up here by where I live. I couldn't find Woodmore Avenue, but I found a Woodmere Avenue. I ended up making my left turn on Woodmere, and wouldn't you know, I made it to the doctor's office. And then that's when I realized that when I looked up the instructions on how to get to the doctor's office, I was having a bad contacts day, and I thought the E was an O. So if you're watching this and you called me out about the K-250 or whatever I said, I am very sorry about it. It is what it is. I knew I was wrong. I couldn't believe it when I heard it in editing. I was like, not feeling it at all to put it in a correction. I was just like, no one's going to notice. Wrong. Somebody noticed. So with that, I don't know everything about Star Wars. I don't think it's even possible. I just passed my smog inspector's exam for the state after 3 tries. Imagine having to pay basically $80 every time to take an exam just to fail it. Yeah, $220 later, I finally passed a test that only should have cost me $80 in the first place to pass. It happens. Anyway, we're with K-2SO today, and that's the subject of today's video. When this build was announced, I said it's going to be an easy pass. I am not interested in K-2SO. I think he's cool. I think he's alright. I think he's pretty friendly. And I think he's a good companion to Andor in the series and in the movie Rogue One. But I don't think I need him. When I did the battle droid with the stat build, I'm like, damn, I think I'm going to get K-2SO now, so they can sit together. Now, we all know that K-2SO doesn't work for the Imperials no more, so thus, he wouldn't like those separatist battle droids floating around. He probably ripped their heads clean off. But, you know what? It's a droid. It's a buildable droid for that fact, and it's going to look cool in the collection. So that's why I did pick him up. Now, he does cost $89.99 here in the US. He is a 10 and older set number 75434. K-2SO, the name of the set, and he does have 845 pieces. Now, taking a look at the box, we can see that we're going to have a lot of black brick. I am hoping that the Imperial logos on his arm are printed elements, but we will find that out. I do like, from just looking at the box, that it does seem that his eyes are kind of built with friction pins from the back side. I think that looks really good, and I think that's going to really, you know, highlight the set versus some weird eyes like maybe like Chewie has or something. So I think that's going to look good. Now, talking about the box, this is a play scale box that is going to be around for a moment. So thus we got our sliver of our box put in there with our greeble corner, Star Wars logo, set information. He is imposed on the box at what looks to be probably the hangar at the Yavin 4 base. So that is a really nice presentation. We do have the Andor with the Stormtrooper indicating this is part of the Andor lineup. And we are going to get another K-2SO minifigure, probably the same one that we got in the Rebel U-Wing. And that is our front of our box. Now we go to the side of our box, and if we look with a fine-tooth microscope, we can see a cut mark right here, indicating that this box happens to be probably right in the middle of the packaging, and when they opened up the Lego box, they sliced my box. Damn it. Good thing I throw them away anyway, right? So looking at the side of the box, we got the set just like we do on the front, and we got the traditional logos with the set numbers. Then we come over here, and we actually don't have anything on this side of the box other than our logos and set numbers, but we do have our Do Not Eat It right there. Coming up to the top, we have our country of origin with a 1-to-1 of K-2SO, and then we do have our Lego Star Wars logos with set number again. Then we come to the bottom of the box. This is where we get our Lego.com app information, all of that, recycling information, Legal Eagles barcode, and all of that good stuff, as well as, StarWarsKids.com with, more logos with the set number. Then we move to the back of the box. This is where we get the meat and the potatoes of the set, and we can see that we have a picture of him at the top with posable arms. Pretty cool. Again, more logo with set number. But then we have him kind of like in a hangar bay of the ship. Maybe the Rebel U-Wing is what he's pictured in here. Who knows? Looking at him closer, I think he may have a sticker element right there on his chest. We will go over sticker elements later on in this video. He does come with a display plaque to display the minifigure and, of course, his statistics. And it is looking to be printed, so awesome there. Besides that, I don't see any dimensions on the back of this box like we normally have. So that is our box, everybody. Now we know what we have to do now, and that's open up our set. We're going to have 2 punch tabs, so no tape to get this one open. So, like traditional, I like to just push one and give it a good rip, and we're in. Now, I'm going to let you guys get the first look in the box. There is a small amount of dead space. You can put a couple, people's hands in there, sawed off. And there is our pour. And after that, there is nothing left in our box. Unfortunately, I can see my display plaque right here, and that tells me we're going to have 8 bags total to get this set built. Let's lay them out. So we got bag 1, bag 2, bag 3, bag 4, bag 5, bag 6, bag 7, and bag numero 8. So that's our 8 bags total, and it looks like I am going to be disappointed. I thought that the shoulder elements, because they're an odd shape, that they wouldn't be stickers necessarily, but guess what? Stickers! It's about a medium-sized sticker sheet, so not too bad. We have about 7 stickers total, 5 being duplicate, so in complete order, 8 stickers. We do have a smaller type book. Again, only 845 pieces, so not too bad. We do have a QR code for our 20 points, and this is where I usually say in the video, we got to save our Lego points to get our Death Star at the end of the year. Not anymore. Harry Potter, maybe? Hogsmeade looks pretty dope, but still, it has a Harry Potter tax that's almost just as bad as the Star Wars tax. But we're not talking about that in this video. Anyway, going into our book, it goes directly into page 1, so no information about K-2SO in this set, and that's going to be on page 5. So in total, we're going to have about 305 building steps, and that's going to be on 153 pages total, but we do reset the step counter to make the plaque, and that goes from page 154 onwards with a step 1 to a step 5, building K-2SO, on page 157. And then lastly, on 158, we have the complete model with the plaque complete. And guys, that is our introduction to K-2SO, the build, and all of the good stuff that goes with it. And I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to get this set built. I'm going to have a little bit of fun. I got to finish editing our 2,000 subscriber video that comes out tomorrow. And for you guys are going to get to see the finished product of this build right here. Okay, everybody, let's dive into our review of our K-2SO. And, well, here he is, and boy, does he look incredible. Definitely a set that I have to admit, on the box and on the surface, yeah, I can do without. But now that he's here, well, he's lanky, he's weird looking, but he is wonderful. Before we get into talking about him necessarily, let's get the boring stuff out of the way, and that is this display plaque with stats and the minifigure. Now, I am almost 100% positive without confirmation that this minifigure is a one-to-one of the one in the Rebel U-Wing. Why would they make another one? It's not necessary. So we do have another one of those for our collection. And then we do have our display plaque here with the homeworld, model, manufacturer, height, affiliation, main associate, and gear stats on it. And that, of course, is a printed element. Overall construction of the display plaque is just as we would expect, nothing new here to see. Now, since I am a little bit of a different type of breed of person, we're going to start off our review at the feet and work our way up to the top. Traditionally, people would start up here and come on down, but you know what? By the time you get down here, you got the boring stuff. So we're going to start here at the bottom, where it can be a little bit boring, and then work our way up. So we do have a display base for our set, and this display base is basically built with a interesting technique of basically this side, that side, clipped together with other sides clipped into it. It's like 4 different building stages just to build this base alone, but everything is parallel and symmetrical after you're all done. It's just on the way of getting it done, as you guys can see from the bottom. Yeah, it's got some interesting techniques to get it there. And then we go into his feetsies, and his feetsies, they are quite sturdy, and you know, with the brackets kind of like left out, it does look a little incomplete, but overall it is a 10 and older set, so you know, the plate-like sturdy legs, I would expect that compared to more finished and polished legs. That does make sense. We do have a 1-to-1 stud on either side for some greebling going into his feet, and then when we look all the way down at his toesies, we do have these exposed studs, ingot plates, and then slanted, you know, hinge plate put into there to give the toe some look, but those exposed studs, again, they are a little rough. And then once we get past his ankles and his calves, we start to go into his knees. And then we do have some joints right here. Now, I don't believe we can turn these, but we can definitely turn them sideways if we wish. But you know what? There's no need to. I think he's perfectly fine as he sits. In these joints, we have a lot of interesting parts, you know, technic elements and all of that to make these joints. We also have these wheels with these dish elements to kind of block up the ugly of the wheels. And yet, you know, give a good greebled look of the knees. Then we go into his thighs, and in his thighs we do have some plate usage and some slope usage to kind of tile him off and make him look complete. His thighs are definitely well more finished than his calves are, but that is okay, I guess. And we do see some exposed, you know, like the back studs over here, zero studs, whatever you want to call them. And then going from his thighs, we can go into his butt. And while his butt does look a little incomplete, you know, we do have some zero studs there. We do have this plate right there. And we do have some exposed stuff down here, some hinges. You can see how that they make his pelvis look. But overall, not too bad. Continuing up from his back, we do have a sticker element right there. And this is one of the ones that is kind of fun to get on because you do have a lot of space, either top or bottom, to get that centered and put on just right. And then coming all the way up to his hunch type back, we do have some gribbling effects and some antennas and one of these parts, you know, plates with the hole in it. So it does look all greebled and kind of unique. And then we start to come back down here on the arm. We do get our sticker element right here, just like we have one over there. But then we have this really cool wheel element with this rubber ring wrapped around it to kind of give him that yellow look inside of his armpit that we see in Rogue One and Andor and all of that. And then we do have this plate usage around here with these smaller ones on some hinges to, you know, make a really nice greebled socket for that shoulder. Then coming on down, we can see the connection point in his pelvis to his leg. Again, Technic components as you would expect. Then we come down into the arm, and his arm does have a hinge that goes left to right and up and down. With that one hinge, his arms do move over here at the joint, but they are kind of limited due to, you know, the bricks and stuff that they are socketed into. The arm is full of these wheels. This clip element does look relatively new to me. I definitely recognize the top piece, but this piece is a little bit different. And then past the wheels, we go into a traditional piece that would usually be used for like a rocket thruster or something, repurposed here in black, more Technic. Then we go into his little hands, and we use the traditional claw elements and stuff to make his hands very, you know, two-dimensional, not too exciting. And we do have another sticker right there. Just putting his hand back out where he looks like he's trying to grab you. There we go. And then we come over here to the other hand, and it's exactly the same parts, techniques, everything. Nothing to really re-explain. The yellow on the socket and all that, sticker element for the shoulder pad, just like on the other side. And the wheels and Technic parts, just like that, with the sticker right there. Then coming around to his front pelvis, we have a sticker here and a sticker there. And then on top of that, we do have some exposed studs right here in the middle. I don't think it looks too bad. Also a lot of little, you know, 1x and 2x type brick right here to make this nice rounded part of his pelvis. And then we do have some interesting greebling effects going on in between to give that, you know, dark bluish gray pipe look in there. And then we do finish out with one more sticker. If you take apart his chest, there is a printed element in his chest. It's just hidden from the general eye, but it is in there. Then coming up, we do have another element right here below the neck that is like the same material as this yellow, but instead of going into a wheel, it's just kind of locked in there with these two 1x pieces and of course a 1x2 plate right to the back of the head. And then all of that goes into all of these slopes, of course, and all that, making his nice broad chest. And then we go into the head of the unit. This was built really interesting using these white elements for the eyes. I think those look really cool. I do have to say, when you build this, make sure you get the slants up and down, because if not, he does look a little funny when they are, you know, when the slots are crooked sideways and all of that. We also have a radiator grill making the bottom of his mouth, as well as these little stud pieces with the rods, you know, feeding into his mouth. Really nice detail. I think the brick usage on this was done really well with the traditional round elements at the very top to make the dome of his head. And that is K-2SO in a nutshell. There are Lego sets that are clearly not supposed to be making a actual figure out of, and it's obvious, but then there's Lego sets like this that I think K-2SO is done really well with Lego, and it makes a really good model, and I don't think this one's going to stand out in the collection as something that's not desirable. And yes, I'm talking about you, Chewbacca. Sorry. In the movies, you're cool, but in Lego, just terrifying. So here we are at the end of our K-2SO video, and this is where I like to share a little bit more thoughts about this set. And the first thing, it kind of goes into one of the last things that I said about this set. Well, I guess the first thing I said about it in the review, and that is how surprisingly good he actually is. Yeah, his lower leg below the knee to the feet do leave a little bit to be desired on him, but he has the detail in the head with the small parts, making a really detailed face. It captures it so well. His torso's done well, his arms are done well, his hands leave a little bit to be desired, but overall, this model, when I saw it originally in the promotionals, I was like, yeah, not really for me. I'm not a big fan of the whole Rogue One Andor series anyway. I like it, but I don't know if I like it like that to be buying all of these Lego sets. Well, not all of them, the Rebel U-Wing and this guy. But after building the battle droid, I was like, you know what? We should do K-2SO so we can get some more droids in our collection, you know, because we do have the R2-D2, the BB-8, we even have like the Droideka and such. And then with the battle droid and staff, it was like, you know what? It's worth it. Let's do it. Let's get him in there. And I'm really glad that for that sole reason alone, I did decide to pick him up and go on this journey of building K-2SO. He is a really good model, and not to mention, for the money of $89, that's not bad. We are about to build Wicket, and Wicket himself, the Ewok, is about $130. So we got two buildable characters this August from Lego, and out of the two, so far this guy is a hell of a value. And he is built exactly how you would expect, with Technic and plates and a bunch of 1x parts, and of course a good handful of stickers. But at the end of it all, you're relatively satisfied with this product, and I like him quite a bit. And that was an outcome that was not expected at all. So if you guys are on the fence about this dude, well, it's going to be a good build. And like I said, for only $89.99 here in the US, it's definitely not a bad buy at all. With the way Star Wars has been lately, you know what? We cannot expect good prices on anything. So the fact that we can get this and it's as good as it is, you know what? That's a win for me. As I said in the review segment, going over features, his upper half has a lot of posability, functionability. You can pose his head, you can pose his arms, you can do all of that. He does get rigid from the waist down, so unlike the battle droid with Stap, he is kind of like how he is. And unlike the battle droid with Staff, he doesn't have anything to go with him other than just himself with the base and the display plaque. And lastly, I just wanted to pull the book out and show you guys that printed piece that is hidden within him. It begins on page 99 with step 210. We put this piece that we have right here into the piece that would become the center of his torso. And then when we go down the line in the book, we can see that it does get covered up relatively quick with other parts. So we end up building this whole nother section of him, and then that section just clips in right in front of that printed piece. So I think that's the only printed piece we get with this set, and it's buried within him, so we don't get to enjoy it. But at least the stickers are not too bad. They are on mostly square surfaces. The ones on the shoulder, you can square those up by the bottom, and then they look really good by the time that they come around to the round part at the edge. But I think the most captivating thing about this guy is the brick built eyes, and those are done with what I would call a L-based snot brick, so basically two snots within an angle of itself on its side with a friction pin with a stud attachment and a sleeve. So the white part you see is the friction pin with the stud top, and that goes into the bottom of the two snot brick, and then a sleeve goes on top of that to finish off the black around the eyes. And with the exception of having to put a knife in his eye and get it straight, I think that's just an awesome way to do the eyes. It just captures him so good. Great model, guys. And with that, that's all I have to say. If you guys like videos like this, please go hit the subscribe button to follow along with everything that we do. As usual, share the video with a friend, hit the thumbs up, which is the like button, and of course, drop comments down below. What do you think about our guy K-2SO? Do you like him? I know I do. And are you on the fence about him because you're not sure if he's all that good? Well, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, so make sure you fire those down below. Up next on the channel, well guys, we are diving into our 2,000 subscriber series. You guys are going to finally get to see what's going on, so I'm super excited for that. So be sure to check that out. That's just tomorrow, so we're doing 3 videos in a row this time around. So subscriber video, be sure to check it out. And then after that, back to our regular scheduled programming with our hibiscus plant. Thank you so much for watching, and y'all have a good one.